morning, Mouse Hunt, and welcome to Feedback Friday, April 22nd. It's been a while since I've seen everybody. How's everybody in the chat doing? See a few people hanging out, enjoying the intro music. Good morning, good morning. I haven't been here for a while. Jacob has been doing Feedback Friday, art versions of it, for the last 3 weeks. We've been a little bit busy. I've been a little bit short on time. I've needed that extra kind of hour or two to focus on some Feroma Rift stuff. So Jacob was kind enough to take the reins of Feedback Friday for the past 3 weeks. But now there's light at the end of the tunnel of this development work, and I have returned. Dennis says he's good in the chat. Asked how I am. I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Good morning. Someone's having their coffee. I've had my coffee. Hopefully that kicks into effect soon. Welcome. Someone in the chat says it's been a while since you've watched. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Or me, I guess. We have a couple quick announcements today we'll go over for Mouse Hunters there. We have a quick little behind the scenes. We'll get you caught up on all that we've been doing the last 3 weeks. Spoiler alert, mostly Feroma Rift. A feedback question for hunters relating to the spring hunt. So pull all these spring hunt memories out of the back of your brain, put them in the front, and we'll ask what you thought of the spring egg hunt. And then finally, as usual, a trivia question, and Larry will have a reward if anyone in the chat gets the trivia question correct this week. It's a little tricky this week. Hopefully I have the right answer. We'll see as well. It's not uncommon that I have the complete wrong answer to the question, especially because it is a little bit tricky. But I definitely had to look that up and do a little bit of calculations. So first and foremost, couple announcements. One, that the Sunken City bonus loot event that is currently going on will end on Monday, April the 25th. Hopefully I have the date correct. It will be Monday, which it should be the 25th. If I've done my calculations correct, and it will end at 3 p.m. UTC, which is about right now. So the time that this video is being recorded is the same time that the Sunken City bonus loot event will end. So this time Monday it will be over, and this is actually one of the few events that automatically ends itself. It doesn't even require us to be sort of at a computer doing a code push to end it, so it will automatically turn itself off at 3 p.m. UTC sharp. What else do we got going here? Is something spring egg hunt related is dark chocolate charms can still be sold at the Town of Nania charm shop, so you can still buy and sell them. So if you have any excess dark chocolate charms, that's a bit of a mouthful to say, that you're looking to sell, make sure you do so soon. That will as well be going away on Monday. So if you want to refund your excess dark chocolate charms for gold, because they're worth a little bit of gold each, please do so soon. Which brings us to behind the scenes. So we want to get you caught up on everything that we've been working on. Like as I said, Jacob was kind enough to take the reins of Feedback Friday the last 3 weeks because we've been a little bit swamped trying to get everything ready to go for Feroma Rift. And if you tuned into Jacob, you no doubt saw a few Feroma Rift mice being drawn as well. So things are just about ready. We can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel after having our heads down working on it for so long. We're just about ready to kind of start playtesting the area in a little bit more seriously. We sort of playtested the prototype version of it with a lot of sort of placeholder stuff, but now that things are coming together, we can actually start to play it for the first time, which is exciting. Now we're kind of moving on to a few more of the details as well, things working on the items, the loot drops, the points and gold that all the mice are worth, and that's sort of a sort of thing that we work on right towards the end of something while we're getting it geared up and polishing it. So a little bit what the Feroma Rift is about. I think a few weeks ago during Feedback Friday mentioned that it ties in droids, because in the regular version of Feroma is where hunters first encountered droid technology. We wanted to kind of revisit that theme because that was the first spot you came across a droid when you built your ambush trap for the first time. If you even built it, I guess, and new hunters might be able to go through the game and skip that if they had a nice tactical trap from an event or Ronza or something like that. But we want to have a little bit of fun with the droid theme, returning to Feroma for the Rift version of it. And so the pagoda is protected by a thick shield of rift mist. It's so thick that hunters wouldn't even be able to breathe if they went into the pagoda. So there's no way for a human life form to enter that. It's rift mice only. And they think they've outsmarted hunters in producing an environment in which they are safe from hunters, where they can plot their evil plans. But never fear, because hunters are crafty as well. You'll be able to build a droid and train it to carry your trap into the pagoda and hunt for you. And then going a step up beyond that, using parts and pieces that you collect from the pagoda, you'll be able to build and enhance your droid to further increase its power and its hunting prowess and increase its odds of capturing mice as well. It will amplify the power of your trap by the strength of the droid, which is yielding your trap. So that's a little bit of a preview of what to expect for the Feroma Rift. Like I said, we're just kind of getting things together a little bit. We're starting to play test it ourselves. We're going to be able to kind of play through it for the first time, hopefully this afternoon. If not, by Monday, I think we'll be playing through it a little bit in the office, which is exciting. And a comment from the chat there was 3 very epic mice that Jacob drew. And there are definitely, this will be the highest ranked area in the game. It's going to be a Grand Duke location, so the mice are definitely going to an epic level. And I'm not sure, I think he was working on the Master of the Dojo, I think, last week. I can turn my microphone back on. All right, that's always helpful. So I don't recall which mice Jacob was drawing the last 3 weeks. We have a few little teasers as well from the Feroma Rift. And I'll let you guess what potential mice these can be, and maybe in the chat you can let me know if one of these mice were something Jacob was working on. I have some guesses in the chat going there. Well, maybe. Okay, maybe that was one that Jacob was working on. If you're familiar with the Feroma theme, this mouse may also know where this is going to fit into the trio of mice. So in the chat, you're saying Jacob drew the Rift version of a monk, the Master of the Dojo, and the Master of the Cheese Claw, if my acronym knowledge is holding strong. All right, so then I don't think you saw this mouse. And I don't think you would have seen this mouse. This looks, I would guess Lauren drew this mouse. That's my guess. I could be wrong. Over the years, their styles have amalgamated, and it is getting harder and harder to tell who drew what, as they are getting a very consistent MouseHunt style synergy. But this one should be pretty obvious, I think, which Feroma mouse this is the Rift version of. It has a lot of parallels to its non-Rift version. So there's a few teasers of the mice. Like I said, the area is really coming together. A lot of the mice are finished, actually, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think they're all done. I think there's just a few finishing touches going on, but I could be way off base there. And we're moving on to kind of smaller things. We're finishing up a lot of items. That said, a lot of the cheeses have been drawn. If that's even a word, cheeses, I guess I'll say types of cheese, so that I don't sound awkward. But a lot of the types of cheese have been drawn as well. There's a Rift Rumble or version of Rumble cheese. It's everything you'd expect from Feroma. Again, a lot of the similar themes and the archetypes established in the regular version of Feroma and the Rift as well. So combat, sushis, glutter, all these themes you can expect to return in the Rift version. Question from the chat was, how many new mice? Let me double check. Let me double check my list. If I can open the correct file. I'll look in my mighty spreadsheet, which has been what I've been working on for nearly 3 weeks. As I hinted at before, this area does involve your trap stats kind of changing a little bit depending on how strong your droid is. And that I joked with Jacob the other day when I was finally thought I was just about done working out, okay, what are the power levels and what are the catch rates for mice? So no more areas where your trap stats change. And that might be a good feedback question for hunters. Is that something you enjoy, even sort of the mechanic of your trap getting stronger or weaker depending on things going on in the location? But to answer the original question, there are at least 16 new mice. We're playing around with the idea of adding a 17th special mouse and potentially adding another 18th action mouse. There will also be 4 Rift mice in the area that are from other Rift locations as well, so you'll be encountering a few other mice, so there'll be some overlap there of where you can go. If you're working on, say, a treasure map or something and it needs one of the Rift mice, there might be a couple locations you can go to find that mouse. A guess of 17, that was pretty close. Okay, some feedback in the chat as well. Michael mentioned, enjoy the feature in a few areas, but not every area. Yeah, definitely something we'd use a little bit sparingly because it does add a little bit of complexity to how things work, but it also adds depth as well. Frequently, game designers will say you create complexity to create depth, or you spend complexity to create depth. I don't know, there's some phrase like that. But if you add complexity and no depth, then it's a bad idea. Gouda string, not yet. I think we would introduce from the chat there. Ryan was asking about Gouda string. I think that would come with the tribal version of a Rift, because that is the first time hunters found Gouda cheese in the real world, if I can call it that. The regular version of Narnia was you first encountered Gouda cheese when you got to the tribal isles. So I think we're kind of saving Gouda string cheese for when you get to the tribal isles, and then it'll act as a bit of a reward as well if you go through this Rift storyline and you accomplish everything you need to do to be able to unlock the Tribal Isles Rift, whatever that ends up being. You'll have access to buy a better version of string cheese. Lots of requests for Ronza. I don't know. I don't have an ear to Ronza. I don't know when she'll be arriving. Question from the chat. Any new Rift traps? That is the plan, to add some new Rift equipment. There will be new things to help you hunt in Rift areas as well with the Frommer Rift release. It is something that does change quite a bit towards the end of an area. It is sort of the finishing touch. We have sort of very general ideas of where we want to go with in terms of what the rewards for a particular area are. But a lot of times as we play test it, we get a sense of sort of the level of challenge or the amount of time it's going to take to invest into the area to explore all it has to offer. So sometimes the rewards get tweaked. They get buffed or they get weakened a little bit depending on how it feels while we play test through it. So a couple other behind-the-scenes items as well to fill you in on what we've been working on. Like I said, the Frommer Rift has been a huge focus of ours, especially myself. I've been doing a lot of kind of number crunching, which is why Jacob, I think I asked him, like, do you mind doing it this Friday? I really, I was setting goals every week. I want to be done this by this Friday, and I'd be a little bit behind. So I was asking Jacob, if he'd be kind enough to take the reins of Feedback Friday, so I get caught up on that. And I'm happy to report now I am, so we're in a good place with it. But the other things going on, because that wasn't the only thing we were working on, we were working on a lot of optimization. So this is maybe slightly less exciting in terms of players, because it's something you may not notice. It's not something new to play through. But there's a few kind of areas in the game that we're just running slowly from a technical perspective. So we've been working on quite a few optimizations. They're things you typically won't directly see or experience, but something we've been working on. Updating some of the software that runs the game, so that can kind of speed up, make the game load a little quicker, make things a little bit snappier. And finally on mobile as well, updating the software that runs the mobile app, which early tests have shown it runs a little nicer, and it'll let us use some new mobile features potentially down the road. Like we can experiment with push notifications. So when somebody sends you a map invite, your phone will say, hey, Steve invited you to a treasure map. And of course, you'd be able to control that from the settings section as well. So you can say, well, I don't want those notifications. But if you do want them, then we can kind of explore new features. But right now, it isn't possible to add those features to the mobile app because the software is a little old, so we have to update it. In other mobile-related news, another big thing that we actually started working on quite a while ago, and now we're sort of in the testing phase for it, is a new marketplace, new mobile marketplace system. So it's definitely one of the bigger features that we've been working on for the mobile app recently. And we've taken the opportunity to experiment with kind of an entirely new marketplace system. A huge piece of feedback we've had from the marketplace is the inability to kind of buy a portion of a order. So you might see, hey, somebody's selling 1,000 Super Brie, but I would just want 10 Super Brie. So the ability to kind of buy 10 pieces from that seller. And it kind of works a lot differently, a little bit more passively. And it's something we'll go into more detail when it's near release. But kind of as a quick little preview, you're able to make a sell offer, and the system will sort of automatically match you up with buyers. So if you say, I'm selling Super Brie for 5,000 gold a piece, it'll find people who are buying it for 5,000 piece, and it'll automatically complete the transaction for you. So it's a lot kind of smoother experience. And like I said, it'll match you up with multiple people. So you might be selling 500 Super Brie, and you can sell it to 500 different people, or maybe 2 people each buy 250 each, or any sort of division of that will kind of work. So it definitely works a little bit, definitely works a lot nicer, a lot easier to use, less awkward to kind of buy specific quantities of things. But like I said, we'll probably do a little bit more of a preview of that when it is closer to release. A comment from the chat was something in terms of more of a trading system where you can directly tell a friend, I'll sell you a sandblasted metal for this much, and you can agree on that price and kind of complete it. So you can sell to a specific person and trade. Yeah, as someone else in the chat pointed out, I think selling directly to people, we would approach that more like a sort of trading system. So it would be more roped into the supply transfer kind of system where like, well, I'll give you this item for this much and stuff. But no current plans to work on anything like that, but it's definitely a neat idea. So that's kind of a quick summary of everything we've been working on for a while. And like I said, the vast majority of that was the Foroma Rift, which is finally getting to a kind of close-ish, near-ish state of being ready to play test, and we're hoping next week at the latest we'll be able to play test it, and then we'll be able to give a little bit more of a preview of when that might come out when we have a better sense of how things are going. Which brings us to the feedback question for this week, which has to do with the spring egg hunt, which recently came to a close. One of the biggest changes this year of the spring egg hunt was that it did involve the chocolate factory. So there was no need to recalibrate your excavator. You could collect marshmallow Monterey in multiple locations throughout the kingdom, so you didn't have to hunt for the event mice and be in the event location to collect the cheese. You could be in the fungal cavern if you want to maybe collect fungus and nightshade while you also collect marshmallow Monterey. And so the feedback question is, what did you think of that? Did you enjoy that system more than previous spring egg hunts, which involved the chocolate factory, or did you kind of miss the chocolate factory? Some early comments in the chat. Great event this year. It's good to read first. I like the new functionality. This spring egg hunt rocks. Positive feedback. Liked the stockpiles. Awesome this year. Matthew said they missed the chocolate factory. Liked the stockpiles. The locations were great. Andrew didn't care, just hunted away. All right. Enjoyed it better. The new way is better. All right. It's almost unanimous. Other than one vote that, no, there's someone else missed the factory. There is some nostalgia there. I did kind of like the illustration of the factory. I liked the header art that the factory had. It was like, I think of that song. I don't even know what it is. Like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine. There's a phrase there. Kind of looked very assembly line-ish. Yeah, even more eggs. A request for more eggs from the chat. I think I spent most of my time in the labyrinth collecting the eggs. I was mildly addicted to glowing oil eggs. Yeah, an interesting comment from the chat, and but it's the way to go for future events. I think it is sort of something we want to explore, where events are a little bit more global, so they don't feel quite as much that they stop what you're doing, but you can kind of do an event while you're doing your regular adventure. You know, if you're working on completing the Sunken City, then it won't interfere with it as much, potentially, but not for all of them. There'll still be some big ones, like the Great Winter Hunt is kind of a big event that would need its own area and stuff, and even Halloween 2 is kind of a big one, but these sort of global little events is something we want to experiment with. Someone in the chat like the Molten Midas eggs. I don't think I actually managed to get one of those this year. I didn't do a treasury run. I did a mammoth farming run during the spring egg hunt, though. It was very satisfying. Had well over 100 stealth. Tons of eggs. Taking a few notes. More eggs for older locations. We did add a few new types of eggs. That might be another interesting feedback question. Is what did you think of the so-called interface eggs? So the eggs that you could find in various spots in the game. Like you open up the marketplace, it's like, oh, little hidden egg over here, click it to get it. One would be hidden on your profile in your King's Crowns if you had enough King's Crowns to reveal it. There are more eggs for the gauntlet, Michelle suggests. There's a few. There's the Bard egg, there's the Eclipse egg. I think I think there might be 3 eggs in the gauntlet. The map clue eggs, there's positive feedback. Was the Sentry egg too hard? Some hunters in the chat are maybe mentioning. That is a difficult egg. Maybe not the hardest egg to find, but it definitely has some prestigious requirements. More love for the map clue egg. I think I was helping Franco on a rainbow treasure map during the spring egg hunt, so I think I picked up a couple of the clue eggs as well. Michelle was helping on that map as well. It's been on the go for a while. Took us a while to finish that. Michelle did the heavy lifting, I think. Maybe. No, I'm pretty sure she probably only got about 2 mice. So if you're watching this, Michelle, you gotta cut more mice next time, please. I'm pretty sure like Franco got 50 mice himself. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly from that map. All right, well, we'll wrap things up as we do most of the time with a trivia question, and Larry has rewards and maybe bonus rewards if I have the answer to this question wrong, which is entirely possible. So we'll see how this goes. So the trivia question, it has to do with the Sunken City because there's a Sunken City bonus loot event going on from now until Monday. And the question is, how many of the deep sea dweller mice can potentially drop an orb? So one of those crafting items, I think there's 5 different types of orbs. Flawed, simple, flawless, divine, and epic. How many types of deep sea dwellers can potentially drop an orb? And like most numerical questions, I suppose someone's going to get it right because you can guess pretty easily. 4 is incorrect. 3, 8 is wrong. You're really close. 12 is incorrect. 60 is way off. 7 is incorrect. 30 is way too high. 1 is way too low. 10. Ooh, so close. 3 and 6 is wrong. 47. There aren't even that many deep sea dweller mice. 17 is wrong. 6 is wrong. 9. There you go. Andrew has the correct answer. 9. Andrew was the first one to get the answer correct with 9 mice can potentially drop an orb that are part of the deep sea dweller mice. And actually, I think I was wrong when I said there aren't even that many deep sea dweller mice to 47, because I think there might be 60 deep sea dwellers. That's a lot of mice in one group. What do we got? Yes, there are 60, so I was entirely wrong. I apologize to whoever said 47, and I shot you down saying there weren't that many mice. There are 60 mice in that group. That's a big group. And if memory serves me correctly, I think that might be the release where we released the most mice at once. I think that was the record for most mice at once. So Andrew was correct. 9 is the correct answer. I will post the reward link in the chat shortly. The 9 mice are the Coral Queen, the Coral Guard, the Cuddle, the Deranged Deckhand. I almost said the Deckhand Deranged Hand. The Deranged Deckhand, the Jellyfish, the Koi Maid, the Old One, Swashblade, and Tritus can all potentially drop an orb when you capture them. And perhaps a studious hunter can do the fact-checking exercise, because I could be entirely wrong. I had to look that up. It actually took me a minute or two to figure out that answer. Suggestion from the chat to have the Sunken City event more often. It definitely seems to be a popular one. But we'll see. We throw in a mini event here and there when there's not too much else going on. There's a little bit of time between the egg hunt shutting down and the Froma Rift being ready, so we thought we would have a mini event to have one new neat little thing start in April. We try to have at least one thing a month happening or starting every month. And we were also quite busy here working on the Froma Rift, so we didn't quite have time to put together maybe something new. So we thought, well, what do we have in our back pockets here? What little mini event can we turn on that's good to go? Flip a switch, and still somewhat optional. You know, if you want to take part, you can, but otherwise, you can definitely ignore it. There's nothing new to collect or a new goal to achieve, so it doesn't feel too mandatory to take part in. Excess sand dollars. You can buy predatory processors, craft ultimate anchoring charms, and then sell them on the marketplace if you have no intention of using them. So there is sort of a infinite use for sand dollars, is that you can buy predatory processors, but until a expansion or some sort of update comes out for the Sunken City, that's pretty well the only use you have for excess sand dollars once you buy everything else. Question, info on the Varmint Valley expansion. It is still on our radar. I don't really have anything to share. We haven't started on it at all outside of sort of just brainstorming some rough ideas and sort of our creative flows. We put together a lot of little kind of quick little stubs, pitches, you might call them, just a paragraph or two. And so we have a lot of that. And we know we sort of want it to be a large-scale area, kind of like the Tribal Isles, multiple locations that are all kind of linked together a little bit. Even something kind of episodic where we'll kind of add the next phase to it one after another. But we haven't started on that. It'll definitely be a big undertaking as well, so we might kind of sneak in another smaller release while we're working on that bigger Varmint Valley release. Suggestion for a Living/Twisted Garden mini event. Does sound interesting. Question for tournament. Are we likely to have a tournament update soon? It's not really on our radar at the moment. I do know eventually when we get to the point where we want to add the tournament feature to the mobile app, we might use that as a good opportunity to also revisit tournaments and add a couple of the new types that we originally wanted to add several years ago. Season 4 chess, that has also been sort of in the back of my mind. is the next season of the Relic Hunter. Feels like it needs to start at some point, but no immediate plans, but that is definitely kind of a burning thought in the back of my mind. So if you don't have the limited edition trap yet, maybe put a little effort in to get to that, because it's on our minds, but we don't have any plans or schedule of when we would start the next season. Lots of neat suggestions for mini events. So I'm thinking the chat might freeze when I stop to read the chat. I also need like a little background music or something going, so when I'm quiet, you don't think it's frozen. Oh man, I can just like bob my head slightly, just like a loader. Michelle says she doesn't have the new trap yet. You are slacking off, Michelle. Shame. I think I have the new trap. So I mean, if I have it, clearly then it's time to start the next season. I mean, yeah, suggestions for more team features. It was something we experimented with the train. We wanted to see, well, could we add an area that's really team-centric? And it's got sort of mixed feedback, mixed reviews. Because it's kind of tough if there's something where you benefit from a team from doing it, that when that content kind of becomes something less popular, or there's something else that a lot of people are focused on, it kind of gets hard to find people to go and party with and go do that thing. So it's something we're not too keen on exploring too much, but it's something we keep in mind if we find a good fit for a team activity. Suggestion for a new starter trap. We did add one, I guess it was a while ago. We added that hot tub trap. Is there a new Sphinx upgrade? No, the Chrome is the last upgrade for the Sphinx. So if you have that, I'm pretty sure that's the most powerful tactical trap. Any upgrade for the Ice Maiden? None planned right now. Yeah, somebody pointed out a small problem with the adventure book where it'll show different adventures on mobile and browser. We do have that bug logged. Hasn't been too pressing of an issue that we have gotten around to fixing it yet, but there is a little bit of something strange happens when you star one of the adventures and then you complete it and then it goes away. It's a little odd. I'm actually stuck in that situation as well, so I was bugging Andrew a little bit. Can you fix this? Because I think if I load my camp page and my internet is struggling under the weight of streaming, yes, I am still tasked with Supply the 8th birthday party with cupcakes, and I'm doomed to forever look at Supply the 8th birthday with cupcakes. So don't worry, on my camp page, there's a constant reminder of that little tiny problem with the adventure book. So I'm reminded of it daily. Are we able to increase the maximum map invite to 6? I think you can send 6 invites at a time, but you can still only have 5 people working on a map. The mouse count is different on mobile and browser. It's still something we're kind of unifying a little bit. There's a few loose ends we need to work on for the mobile app. Sand dollars in the marketplace. I don't think so. That would safely to say that will never happen. Someone's very deep in the ocean and didn't capture one of the mice that you can only get in the starting locations. I was in the same boat, I think, the first couple dives, and I had to studiously restart my dive a few times to try to get that one last mouse. And on that note, well, one more question. What are the different mini events available? That's an interesting question. What do we have in the mini event system grab bag? The current list of events that we can turn on and off include a bonus luck event, a glitch paw outbreak, iceberg double loot event, wicked gnarly potion weekend, zombie invasion, bonus fungus mini event, the bonus loot sunken city mini event, which is currently set to active, the amazing aura, the winter aura, the advent calendar, which probably is only going to be turned on during December, Valentine's Day, toxic spill, prize mice, which is currently set to on. That is always in the on location, and we can turn up the encounter rate of prize mice from that. And King's Giveaway is a little mini event system. And last but not least, the Spooky Shuffle and the Snowball Showdown. So yeah, there's a couple there that we have not done in quite some time. The Whisker Woods one has definitely not been activated in quite some time. We've done a few zombie outbreaks over the years, and the bonus fungus event. Yeah, I could use some bonus fungus. Buy some nightshade charms. And on that note, I think we shall end Feedback Friday for this week. Join us next week, where I'm entirely confused about who will be joining you, but it'll be Jacob or myself. And as the firmware rift gets a little closer, I'm looking forward to being able to kind of preview things a little bit more, especially once the HUD art comes together a little bit. We can kind of show, well, here's how the area works, and you can actually see a HUD working. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, so it's a lot cooler to see the HUD in action than just describe it. Well, thanks for joining me. Everyone have a good weekend, or if you're watching this recorded, have a good rest of the day. Have a good tomorrow. Happy hunting. And if you're in the Sunken City, remember that the mini event ends on Monday. So I wanted to get that news out there as well. Thanks for joining me. Bye.
A lot of extra time waiting for the